how do you define fairness?
If two people are given the same amount of headway towards something, an equal playing field.
I don't know if there's really a good way to describe what fairness really is.
Equal rights. The rules should apply to everyone.
Stuff given to everybody equally.
I'm a firm believer in equal opportunities.
But some people are born into more opportunities. People born into like money, people born in like first world countries versus third world countries.
If there isn't equal opportunity, what do you do as a person to change that?
I don't think there's much you can do, to be honest, in this world, unless you have a lot of wealth and power.
You can't always have equal opportunity for every position. So sometimes it's not going to be fair.
Yeah.
And you know what? It is what it is.
Do you guys think life is fair?
No, because I feel like if you're born into money, you have an easier way through life than if you have to work for everything.
Just because fairness exists doesn't mean that everyone has fairness. The world wouldn't run if the world was fair.
Ooh. We've all grown up hearing the phrase, life's not fair, but we still struggle when we encounter it in reality. Now, how can we believe something and still be surprised when it happens? Do you guys think life is fair? Yes or no?
No.
It's just not.
No.
So my next question is then why are we surprised when unfair things happen to us? Are we? Are any of you?
We want to believe it's fair. So when the bad things happen, then we're like, oh, why did it happen?
Why did it happen?
Yeah.
For me, I feel like it's almost boils down to like an ability to cope. So when I've had like very hard things that I feel like are unfair, I look back like in a month, in 6 months, in a year and say, there's a reason this happened. And it's always a lesson and it always makes you stronger.
Right.
So it's almost like how I define the unfair things that have happened.
Miranda, have you ever thought, why me? Like, has that ever
At
come to
certain
mind?
points, but as I've grown up and developed into who I am now.
It's like a form of mental toughness.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I think of it almost like a challenge at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Trinity, what do you think?
I think that it's still worth fighting for fairness, even when you might feel like, oh, we're never going to get there. It's just like, okay, if my room is messy and I cleaned it last week, should I not clean it now? Because, well, I cleaned it last week. No, I think it's still worth to keep pushing the needle to try and get to the happy medium, even though not everyone will ever be happy with what that is.
Okay, so what is that? Is that like when we talk about equal opportunity, is it the government should try to make it so everybody has like a base playing field when it comes to finances? Or because a lot of people in like low income households might say, oh, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And then look at somebody else and say that, it's not fair because they have this or they have this.
But then you have an entire class of people who are wealthy that say it's not fair that they get a check from the government that I pay taxes for. So that's where you either have to find the balance with that, or there's always going to be people that think that something's not fair. But I would be willing to bet that the wealthy people would not trade any part of their life to go live on a government check.
Right.
So the way that I look at it is it depends on what lens you're looking at. So if you're looking at it from a government lens, is you want to make this playing field as equal as possible from an opportunistic standpoint. Equal outcome is not going to do anything. It doesn't produce anything. Equal opportunity gives people the chance to decide whether or not they want to take that opportunity to further their life or stay put where they are.
So that kind of boils down to, like, the whole thing with social justice is the acknowledgement that not everybody starts at a level playing field. So we try to shorten that gap and make it easier for people. But it doesn't mean that there will not continue to be.
Okay, so we should still try to shorten that gap. It's just, it's not always going to be there.
It may not be the exact same opportunity for everybody, but you want to fight to give more opportunity, I think.
So let me ask you guys this. I have a note on my cards. Like, why do we have an underlying belief that a fair world means you should only get what you deserve? Is that just something that's built in us?
What do you deserve? What does anybody deserve? I love that when people say, I don't. People say, I deserve this or I don't deserve this. What does anybody on this panel deserve? What do you deserve? I think that comes down to a fundamental belief on what you think people or humans or yourself deserves. Like, I don't think I deserve a castle in the German hills. I think you have to work for that. I might need financing for it, but yeah.
You deserve a basic way of life, a basic shelter.
I think so. I think people deserve food. I think they deserve clean drinking water. I think they deserve clean air to breathe. I think I'm a healthcare person. You deserve publicly funded healthcare. We can go on and on about this, but the fact that it may not be readily available right away, I don't want to say that that's not fair. It gives you something to work towards, or it gives maybe a country or government something to work towards.
This is one of like the great philosophical debates throughout history, right? Like, I heard a stat the other day that by the time you're 4 years old, if you're born in like a higher earning family, you hear about 45,000 words or 45 million words by the time you start school.
Really?
In a lower income family, you'll hear about 13 million.
Less. That's
Way
actually
less.
fascinating.
So that already, there's just so many gaps that you can't control.
Right, right. And yeah, and it can come down to a lot of how you're raised, right? And then
where you're born
culturally.
Even there's so much
But
discrimination too.
it's almost like we just have
gender,
to be okay.
sexuality, everything.
Okay. So we just have to be okay with that.
Well,
We'll
there's
talk
the
about it.
opposite side that when you fail, you want grace. And you don't want to get what
We'll
you
talk
deserve.
about it in
If
the next
you're not
segment.
okay with it,
We'll-
you just punish yourself.
We'll be right back. Should we strive for equal opportunity or outcome?
I'ma rule the world, yeah.